won't say goodbye yet. Can I change your mind?
Hello my angels, welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. My name is Sierra, and in today's video we're going to be just kind of talking, chilling, and discussing mental health. So if you, I'm just going to put a trigger warning here if you don't want to be talking about things like that, and then go check out some of my other videos that are a little bit more upbeat and positive. But I just thought I'd sit down and I would talk to you guys about like the real side of mental illness, not the glamorized version, I guess. Also, please ignore my eyebrows. I've complained in I think every single one of my videos the fact that they don't match, especially the end of them, so I basically just shaved half of them off. And now I just draw them in because I can draw them so they look even instead of constantly hating the way I look because my eyebrows don't match. So the rest of my face, like minus acne, I actually don't mind. Like I have days where I don't like certain features, but like my eyebrows not matching are the one thing that like no matter what I did I never felt pretty. So I just shaved off half my eyebrow. Speaking of mental health, I also have a really bad habit of when I get really stressed out, I'll pull out my hair, especially my eyebrows, and I started to do that really badly the one day, and so they were like, especially this one was like really sparse, it was basically gone. That's why there's like so much more gone than this one, even though I technically shaved it. That's why this one's shaved farther back, because which I'm not, I think there's technically something, like I think that is technically something which I'm technically not diagnosed with, so I don't, but yeah, it doesn't make any sense, but I do. I also want to talk to you guys about why I'm late to upload a video. I've not had a good couple months. I know I've talked about this before. I had a job. I got fired. It's the first time, and I was trying really hard at that job. Gizmo honey, I already opened up the door and you didn't want in here, so I'm not fighting with you. Thank you. And to be honest with you, I had gotten fired from a job before. But that was just like it was a newspaper job, and I kind of quit / got fired. I kind of stopped trying. I didn't really care about it anymore, so when I got fired I was like, yeah, okay. There was a lot of houses where they turn around one day they wouldn't want a newspaper and they'd yell at me for it, and then the next day they didn't want it, and so I just stopped delivering to their house because I never knew when they wanted their newspaper. And I probably should have reached out to my boss and been like, hey, these people keep yelling at me when I don't deliver the newspaper, but yell at me when I... Come on. No, we're not doing... Thank you. Thank you. But then they yell at me when I don't, they yell at me when I do, and then I just basically stopped denying getting fired, and I was like, yeah, okay, you know, that one's fair. But this other job I got fired from, it was the first time I'd gotten fired from a job that I actually didn't hate, and I was actually trying really hard at, and I had no reason. Like it wasn't like I was able to turn around and be like, oh yeah, you know, I did this and that and this and that, so it makes sense I got fired. Like I normally, if I have consequences, I'm normally able to look back at my actions and be like, okay, yeah, I can see why I got these consequences, like understandable. Or I usually get an answer, and I didn't get an answer for this one, and so I was left sitting there with so much anxiety trying to figure out what I did wrong and how to fix it, you know? Like, if I make a mistake, I want to, moving forward, not make the same mistake, and in this case I couldn't because I didn't know what that mistake was. So that hit me really hard. And at first I was like, you know, I'll just try looking for another job. I am normally so good at interviews. Like, I've helped other people prepare for interviews. I've been complimented on how good I do at interviews. I don't necessarily always get the job, but I always get the feedback of, you were one of our strongest interviewees. like we were impressed with your interview, just reasons I hadn't gotten the job is like this one person has like there was this one job where this person went to like school for it. You didn't need to have gone to school for it, but they're like, we're going to hire the person who went to university taking a course that pertains to this job versus somebody who's just really shit on the interview because they've been taught a lot more, have more experience. But they're like, if it wasn't for that, you would have been hired. I had this other one where this lady was supposed to like move or something, and I was going to be taking over her job, but then she ended up not moving. She was staying at the same store, and they were like, we don't need to hire someone now, but they're like, you know, you did really, really good in the interview, so interviews are my strong point. But the last kid, are you okay? Sorry, my cat just fell. She does it all the time. She's clumsy. Anyone who says that cat, my other cat's going to check on her. I would show you, but my bedroom's a mess and I don't really want to show that. I started being clean and then I just decided to film this instead. What was I saying? Anyway, so I was like, you know, I'll just look for another job, and I started to do more interviews, and I've been sucking. Because one of the questions that a lot of people ask is, why did you leave your last job? I don't know what to say. Because again, like, if I knew why I had gotten fired, then I turn around and be like, unfortunately I got fired, you know, I did this, or like this happened, or blah 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 blah, but like it's a learning experience. Yeah, I'd say it a little bit more formal than that in an actual interview, but you know, I would explain and say what I learned from it, what my what's the word, plans are going forward, you know, how I expect myself to change, what like strategies I would bring the next time something like that came up, all of that, which generally, you have a ball. Oh, I know, sweetie, she has a ball. She's so fucking cute. I'm sorry, I swore. But in interviews when that question came up, I didn't have an answer. Because all I knew from my last job was I got fired, and I'm a horrible liar. Anyone who knows me knows that I would rather just not say anything at all, because you know when I'm lying. And so my options were to either say, oh, I got fired, but I have no idea why, which is like, really? You don't? Or a lie, you know? Or I guess some people could say like, oh, the last job just didn't work out for me or whatever, but she just fell again. Are you okay? I'm so sorry. She's hiding because she's embarrassed now. And she's hiding in the box that just fell on her. Okay. My cat can tell when I'm stressed out. That's why she's being like that. Anyways, yeah, so that was really hard. And then the fact that, like I said, I'm normally really good at interviews, and I just kept bombing them. And there was this one job that I was like, actually kind of really wanted, and I'm not used to not getting jobs that I really want, or not having positive feedback, like the one where they said like, you did really good in the interview, but like, you know, the person who we were hiring you for decided not to leave, and so we're gonna keep them on, but you know, if it wasn't for that, then like, you would have been the one we hired, like you were the top of our list, we were about to call you, and then we got the notification that she wasn't leaving, and so now we kind of can't because we don't have the budget to hire you. If it wasn't for the budget, then we'd bring you in, that type of stuff. So for me to just not have any feedback, and like, I even reached out to them and was like, you know, hey, is there anything else you need from me going forward? And they basically were like, no. And I was like, oh, okay, awesome. So I was like, it was just weird. And again, they had asked about that, so and then I started to feel a little bit better. And I'm gonna talk about, I'm gonna put a trigger warning here again. I'm about to talk about death. And so if you don't want to talk about it, don't talk about it, and I probably will end up crying. When I was in high school, had this girl who was a really, really good friend of mine. And then I'm gonna go into the story later, and like not talking to her as much after high school. We kind of grew apart, but she was still very dear to me. Like we followed each other on social media. I thought about her every day. I actually wanted to, hi baby, ask her to be a part of my wedding. Not like the bridal party or anything, but I thought about her every day, and I kept thinking to myself, I want to talk to her again. And I kept thinking, tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow. I'm not in a good mood today. I'm stressed out. Tomorrow. And I just kept saying that until one day I went online. And I wasn't, like, I was just scrolling around. That day too, I thought to myself, oh, you know, maybe later today I'll message her, I'll reach out to her. Like, I'm not planning on getting married for another couple of years, so, you know, we can just continue to, you know, be in each other's lives that way. I don't really want to like start another relationship and like open up another friendship, but I'm already struggling a lot. Tomorrow. And then I found out that she died. I don't want to say how because it's not my business. I'm just going to say it wasn't, from what I understand, I don't know how to say this without getting demonetized and without offending anyone, but it wasn't by she didn't do it. That's all I'm gonna say. You guys can take from that what you will. It wasn't mental health reasons, I guess. It wasn't that. I'm sure you can all figure out what I'm trying to say now. So I saw one person post something and I was like, that's gotta be fake. Like, that's gotta be some internet troll. Grab this random person's picture off of the internet, put it up on like this fake obituary, and like one person that we mutually know found it and was like, oh no, like, you know what I mean? So I didn't believe it. And so I was on the phone with my mom and I was like, oh my god. She was like, what? And she was like in the middle of telling me a story, and she's like, my story's really not that dramatic, like, you good? And I was like, I told her about how I saw this like stupid thing and how it was so fake, and I was like, but I need to figure this out. So I kept like doing research, ended up finding out from another mutual friend that it was in fact true. And I just broke down. I feel so guilty because I don't know if she knew how I felt. And sorry. Part of the reason I had stopped talking to her was because I was depressed. I feel so guilty that I put my own feelings above keeping the friendship because I have no idea if she knew how much I cared about her. She would have had no idea that I wanted her to be in my wedding. And so I just keep thinking to myself, there's other people that I was friends with and that I cared about, that I think about on a daily basis. You know, I keep up to date with them on social media to see, like, make sure they're doing. I'll feel so incredibly proud of them when I see, like, their accomplishments in life, and I have no idea. And I have no idea how to reach out to them. Because something similar to that happened a few years ago, but it was with somebody who I wasn't as close with. It was somebody who I did care about, and I was very saddened by their loss, but it wasn't like I wasn't nearly as close to them. And so I tried reaching out to a couple people, which nothing really stuck, but there were still a few people that I didn't completely reach out to, because I didn't want to reach out to anybody that I was too close with, because I was afraid of getting hurt. And I really regret that. And I keep thinking to myself, oh, I should reach out to these people. But then I keep thinking to myself, tomorrow, I'm not ready today. I'm not ready to be heard today. What if they don't want me to reach out to them? What if they don't think the same things about me? What if they don't keep up with me on social media? And what if they aren't incredibly proud of all my accomplishments? And what if they don't think about me being in their wedding? And what if they don't, you know what I mean? And the more I think tomorrow, the worse I feel, because I don't want the same thing to happen with them, where I keep thinking tomorrow, and then tomorrow comes and something happens to them, and I'm in this circle. This like Ferris wheel of doom. All Ferris wheels seem very scary. My mom doesn't like Ferris wheels, so I kind of grew up not liking Ferris wheels, so I'm kind of uncomfortable because I'm sitting on the floor, because it's the only place I could really get my camera to stay up that didn't have like a pile of laundry on it. Well, not literally a pile of laundry, but you know what I mean. Yeah, so I just felt guilty. But it's also, when I left high school, so I remember being like 11 or 12, or I was young, and somebody turned around to me and they said something along the lines of, you have anxiety, or you have depression, or you have something like that. I remember at the time thinking to myself, no, some kids in my grade don't even have boobs yet. There's no way I have depression. Like, no, or anxiety. Like, little kids don't get that. Looking back on it, I obviously did. Gizmo, please don't bite your sister's butt. Thank you. Sorry. I had this girl. I've talked about my one teacher, who called me fat. If you haven't seen that video, yeah, you should go check it out. But there was this girl, in my class at the time who bullied me so badly. She would write me notes that had death threats on them, telling me that I should go and you know, I'm not gonna say the word, but basically telling me to leave life. Yeah, it was bad. And like, those weren't the only things she did. She'd say things to my face, she'd call me names, she'd spread rumors about me, which ended up excluding me. She would purposely, I would make a friend finally, she would want nothing to do with that person. As soon as I started to talk to them, she would basically have a bunch of people gang up against me and turn around to that person. She basically turned around to that person and be like, you continue to be friends with Sierra, then I'm going to do to you the same things that I do to her, which terrified them. And so a lot of people stopped being my friend, which I don't blame them. I know we might be thinking, oh, they should have stuck up for you, but I would have been terrified too. I really don't blame them. And so I started to get sick a lot. I ended up missing a lot of school because I was sick all the time. Like, I would get physically ill, just by the thoughts of her being around, by the thoughts of, you know, not being able to go to my teacher because my teacher was making fun of me too. And so it's just a really rough time for me. And so I started to exhibit a lot of symptoms of anxiety and depression, and I was getting bullied. Not at home, like, my mom didn't bully me, but I had neighbors and stuff who bullied me really bad. And so I had no friends. It was a really, really lonely time in my life. And so finally I got to high school, and I had friends. I'm sorry, I'm gonna pause here for a second so I don't, I'm like losing the footage. So I always had something I could blame it on. It was always like, I knew I had anxiety and depression, but I was always like, oh, I'm feeling this way because of this reason. And even though my feelings might be a little bit stronger than most people would have towards this thing, you know, whereas this might make one person sad for like a couple hours, it's gonna make me sad for a couple weeks. I still knew what it was. Whereas now I'm at a point in my life where like we can afford our rent and our food. Like, we're not eating extravagant meals like lobster and caviar every night. And honestly, there are sometimes the last few days, like before the next paycheck, where we're a little like low on food and funds, but I'm still not like, oh my god, I don't know if I'm going to be able to eat at all this week. It's more like, oh hey, the day before we get paid, we might have to eat Mr. Noodles. Or we might be having like toast for dinner, but that's for like one day, maybe two before the next paycheck, depending on how well it is. So it's nothing like it was before. We can afford our rent now with no problem. I have 2 animals that are more than healthy. I live with my partner and my roommate. My roommate is awesome. So I'm not living in an unhealthy environment. And really honey, I know most of the time I get stressed when she talks about this, but just let her just be stressed for 5 minutes, okay? You're coming to, okay. I see, yeah, I see you. You're helping me, yep, you're helping me calm down. And so I have nothing to blame my feelings on, except for, like I said, the whole getting fired thing, not being able to find a job again. But that's so insignificant compared to what I've been through in my life. And so for me to just shut down. Hi. Hello. That's not a good, there's a mirror beside me. That's not a good angle. Do you need out? Go. There you go. Go. Whoa. Go, go. Is your tail out? No, okay. Like, what I've been through in my life, it's so insignificant. And so the fact that I'm struggling is just, it's like I don't understand it. It's like for the first time in my life, I truly understand what it's like to have depression, because throughout most of my life, I always felt like I had a reason to be depressed. I had a reason to have anxiety. I had a reason to feel the way I did. And now that I feel it when everything else in my life is good, it's just so incredibly frustrating. You know, like I can look out and I can see, like, I'm healthy, I live in a healthy environment, I have healthy animals, I can afford my food and my rent, I can, and I still wake up feeling like there's no reason to get out of bed. How does that make any sense? Like, I get so angry at myself for feeling that way. And I know it doesn't make sense, because I know depression is a lot more complicated than that. I know it's not like I'm just going to wake up one day and be fine, but that's the thing, is I was fine for a couple months. I was able to, you know, keep up with the job. I was able to keep my house clean every day. I was able to socialize with people. I was able to get out of bed at a decent time. I felt good. I didn't really have panic attacks. I wasn't depressed. I mean, every once in a while I would get a little bit of an anxiety attack, or a panic attack, but I would be able to handle it. You know, I would be able to generally, the deep breathing would help. I'd be able to figure out what was causing it. I'd be able to slow it down before it got bad. I was keeping it under a lot of control. I felt good. For the first time in my life, well, not the first time in my life, but like for the first time in a really, really long time, I felt sane. I felt like what I feel like most human beings feel like. I didn't feel like I was constantly in danger. I didn't feel like I was constantly under threat. I didn't feel like my bones are too big for my skin, which I know that seems weird, but yeah. And then I was also fighting to get on disability. Again, I will be right back. Don't lose the footage. Sorry. I was fighting it on disability because, you know, the whole mental health thing, how I'll go for a couple months where I'm perfectly fine, and then all of a sudden I go for a couple months where I'm not okay. So I was trying to get on disability so I could, you know, maybe have a little bit of help. Even if I did work on it, I could still get support when I needed those few months off. Maybe see if they could help me find a job that not would cater to the mental health, but would be a little bit more understanding of, you know, I can work a few months on and then need a few months off, a few months on, a few months off. Like, I don't think any job does that, but I was hoping maybe if I had disability would help. And I didn't hand my paperwork in on time, which again, I feel so stupid for, but I didn't do it because I was feeling good for those couple months, and I was like, maybe I don't need disability. You know, maybe my anxiety and my depression were literally just because I had bad, like, other bad things in my life, so maybe I don't actually need it. Like, maybe I'm fine. And then I went and I finally did hand it in because I started to realize, okay, no, this isn't just like a situational depression, anxiety. This is an actual, like, you know, something's not wrong with me, but something's wrong with me. And I ended up being told that because my fiance makes too much money, I couldn't get the financial support needed, not through disability, through like the person, like somebody helping me get disability. Don't want to go into too many details, which is the same thing with other government assistance programs, which makes it so I am pretty much, I don't want to say stuck with my fiance, that sounds really bad, but I 100% reliant on him. If anything were to ever happen, I would not be able to leave him because I am financially dependent on him. He does not make enough money for the both of us. Like I said, okay, sure, can we afford our rent right now? Yes, because we have a roommate. Can we afford food? For the most part. But when a roommate leaves, we won't be able to afford it. Even the fact that we have to go a couple days with being really low on food, and we do struggle with money every month, and to be honest with you, I'm pretty sure I've borrowed 20 bucks from my mom here and there because we've needed like eggs or something. Not that eggs are 20 bucks, but you know what I mean. So really, we can't afford to live. And yet, he makes too much money for me to get any assistance. I can't even get like dental work or healthcare. Well, not healthcare because healthcare is free, but like, you know what I mean. We can't afford a car, and so I have this one doctor that lives in a different town than me for something. I haven't been able to see her in I don't know how long because I have no way to get there. Whereas before, you know, if I was able to get assistance, I would at least be able to have rides covered so I could go see this doctor. Instead, now I just can't deal with my health, which is probably another reason that I've been feeling so depressed lately, is because I know that I have health things that I need to take care of, and I can't afford it, which is really frustrating because being a Canadian, technically my healthcare is free, but I can't afford to go get that healthcare. And it's not like I could just walk there. Like, I mean, technically, could I walk there? Sure. Would it take me 4 hours? Probably. Probably more than that, because I'm pretty sure it takes like an hour and a bit, depending on traffic, to get there in a car. So me walking would be probably take me all day. I don't think that's really realistic. I mean, could I try it? Sure. Am I going to? No, because I don't think it's realistic to ask me to walk 8 hours straight to go to a doctor's appointment. You know, so I've been struggling lately, and I've had a lot of people in my life tell me that there's nothing wrong with me. I'm not depressed enough. My anxiety isn't high enough. My symptoms aren't valid. My feelings aren't valid. I remember there would be times where I would go to the hospital, like the mental health hospital, and be like, hey, I need help. And they'd be like, well, we don't actually think so, because you're reaching out to us, so that probably means that you don't really need help because we're stupid. I don't literally say that, but I was like, okay. And there'd be people there that would be refusing their help, and you would be like, okay, obviously, yeah, you do need help. But it was so incredibly frustrating for someone like me that would turn around and be like, hey, hi, over here, kind of feel like I'm drowning, could you help me? Anybody? Throw me a life jacket. And I'd be like, oh, well, you're still talking, so you're fine. Meanwhile, the water's like lapping over my face, and I'm going like this, trying to get up from underneath, and I'm like, you have one of those like lifeguard thingies, could you just throw it to me, help me over here? And they'd be like, no, you're fine, you've learned how to swim. And I'd be like, okay, there's like a tide pulling me in, and you have a rope that you could throw out to me, and I could grab onto the rope, and you just pull me onto shore, but you're refusing to help. And then there'd be somebody over, like, just, purposely swimming underwater over there, and they'd be helping them. Even the person would be like, no, I'm good, I'm just swimming underwater. And you'd be like, well, the tide's coming towards you, so yeah, you might want to get out before, like, it. So frustrating. And there's so many people who don't believe me. Why? Why would I purposely have my house be a mess, not have a job, live poor, when I could, I don't know, work? Who would choose to not work? Who would choose to stay in their house all day, not socializing with anybody? Because they're terrified to go out into public, because every single time they do, I can't go grocery shopping without my mother. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry this video is long. I had friends finally. And to me, anybody who didn't actively call me names was a good friend. And so I'm making this really amazing group of friends. And I still struggled throughout high school. I'm being diagnosed with PTSD, anxiety, depression. I think that's all I was diagnosed with in high school. I've been diagnosed with other things like out of high school in my adult life, but I think if I remember correctly, those are the only things I was diagnosed with in high school. And so I struggled a lot, but I had my friends, the support system. I had teachers that weren't horrendous human beings. I had, I had counselors. I was able to go to therapy. I knew why I felt the way I did. I didn't feel so ashamed as a teenager for some reason to say I had anxiety and depression. As like a little kid, it was embarrassing to say that because nobody had it. But as a teenager, I had people that I could surround myself with that felt the same way, that knew what it was like. And so I felt heard. And then I got out of high school, and I went into college, and I really, really struggled. I ended up losing a lot of friends. I had a lot of people who I thought cared about me. We would get out of high school, and a couple of them turned out to me and they're like, we are sick and tired of having to deal with sad Sierra, like, doing it for attention, you're doing it. And I was never mean to them. I honestly, every once in a while I would go a couple weeks where I wouldn't talk to them, and I generally would turn around and say like, hey, I'm gonna need a couple weeks off, like I'm feeling kind of depressed, I need a little bit of time. And as soon as I felt better again, I'd reach out to them and be like, hey, I'm feeling better. And all of a sudden they just said that I didn't care about them, that it was always on my time and never theirs. And I was like, why didn't you reach out to me? Like, I communicated with you that, hey, I'm feeling depressed, I need some time off. And they always just said okay. And it was never Like, they never turned on to me and said, hey, like, we know you need some time off, but we really need some support. Or if I was like, hey, I'm feeling better, they're never like, oh, hey, like, so glad you're feeling better, but, you know, we need some time off. Or their needs were never communicated, and so people started to get sick and tired of me not wanting to go out places because I'd have panic attacks, or because I was depressed, or, you know, not wanting to hang out with people because I knew I was in a bad mood. And I never think that mental illness should be an excuse for like snapping at someone or for being rude or mean. And so if I ever felt like I was going to be rude or mean to someone, I would just step back and be like, I can't hang out with you right now because I'm not my best person. I'm not my best self. So this is unfair to you. And a lot of people didn't understand that. A lot of people don't understand mental illness, and a lot of people don't know how to communicate. And so I had a lot of people in my life basically leave me all at once. And the people who, I also had some people leave me who, it wasn't like they weren't being mean, they're moving on to college and university and stuff, and they didn't have as much time for me. But I didn't take it that way because I had so many people become nasty to me that anybody who left my life, I just assumed they were being nasty. So I went for a lot of years where I had no friends. The only two people I talked to were my mom and my now fiance. There was nobody else. And so I didn't know how to reach out to anyone. And so for me to reach out to somebody was, I didn't know how, you know, I wasn't sure how. Hi, what's wrong? No, you can wait for 5 minutes before I open the door. Yeah, so and like I said, lately, and it's weird because I went through a lot of years where there was always, like, I struggled with my mental health, but there was always something going on that I could blame it on, you know, like, we were in poverty, and, I mean, okay, yeah, I'm not rich now, obviously, I don't have a job, but, like, we couldn't, it was some months it'd be like, do we afford a rent, or do we afford to eat good food, like, so, obviously, at that time, it made sense that I would be depressed because you know, we were struggling financially. And then I ended up going somewhere else where the environment was bad. Hi, baby. And so, hi. I know. You can tell that mommy's stressed, can't you? I know. You tell I need to breathe? Okay. Sorry, she had to remind me to do my breathing exercises. Again, I'll be right back. Don't lose foot. Lord knows I love her. I don't want to have to rely on her to go grocery shopping. I'm an adult woman. I should be able to go grocery shopping myself, and I can't. Once in a blue moon, I'll be like, I'll have to go out, or I'll try to go out myself. And every single time I do, I have a panic attack, and I end up not getting what I need. I end up getting too much and spending too much money because I'm trying to calm down the panic attack and think that shopping will help. Or I just, like, will leave my cart in the middle of the store and go home being like, fuck this, I'm out. How is that? Why would I? If I was faking my mental illness, why would I do that? Why? Like, does my life seem good? You know? Does my staying in bed until 5 o'clock at night because I was crying all night seem like a fun time to you? Does it seem like something that I want to do? No, it's not. And so why would I be faking it? Please tell me. What is the benefit of faking mental illness? Okay, I will give you that. Technically, if I was able to get on disability, would I get free money? technically, do I get a lot of money? No. Could I get more money going out and getting an actual job? Yes. So why would I want that? Would I have a lot more freedom to do things? Yes. So why would I fake it? Please tell me this. So that's been my life lately. I'm going to end this video here because I think it's already basically an hour. I'm very sorry that I have been so ranty. I've had a bad couple months. Let me know if you guys want me to talk about mental illness again. Maybe dive into some of the things that I've been diagnosed with. Also, I have this one diagnosis I'm starting to not agree with. When I actually thought I had it before I was diagnosed with it, and then I was diagnosed with it, and I was like, yeah, I think I have that. Like, that makes sense. It fits me. But I've met other people with the same diagnosis, and I know not all people are the same, but there's a lot of things that are similar between them that I don't feel at all. And so I don't feel like the diagnosis fits me anymore. Which I don't know the name of my psychologist, so I really need to reach out to somebody to see if I can get one, because I really want to talk to somebody and be like, hey, I don't think this diagnosis fits me anymore. Could we maybe talk about, finding me another diagnosis that might actually fit me better, or tell me if I'm wrong? Like, I'm not a professional, I can just say what I feel in my day-to-day life. And so I want to talk to a professional and kind of bounce these ideas off of them and be like, hey, I don't really feel like this fits me anymore. I feel like this fits me better. Am I correct, or am I like reading this wrong, or like what do you think? But let me know if you guys want me to talk about that a little bit more. I will talk to you guys later. Please like, subscribe, comment down below if you connected with any of this. And I love you. Cheers.